In a world where combat flight sim cockpits are few and far between, a newcomer emerges, the SimFab Modular Flight Simulator Pit, DCS Edition. On a more serious note, this is going to be a review on this pretty new sim pit that has just recently come out. I haven't seen too much info on it, so I thought I'd get it and give my initial impressions. Hope you like it. It's the first review I've ever made, so here we go. Alright, so we're going to start with the unboxing and assembly. Things got here in about 12 days for me. Shipping was pretty quick. You can see it was all packed up pretty well. Only 2 pieces of styrofoam, which I thought was pretty great because I get really sick of styrofoam very quickly. It's not easy to recycle where I live. But anyway, so it comes with tools, everything you need, tons of different little booklets for each step. Instructions are very straightforward, so if you're pretty decent at putting together IKEA furniture or anything like that, I think you'll breeze through this pretty quickly. There are a couple spots that I ran into that got very tricky that I will show later on, but for the most part, the main assembly of the entire part is pretty quick. You can see here I moved down to basically where I'm at, starting to put my peripherals on, and I started to run into some issues here. Not so much with the rudder pedals, but more so with everything else. So this was the hardest part for me. Mounting the throttle. You can see right here there's white and red arrows. The white arrows point to how the arm is mounted to the plate, and the red arrows are how the plate is mounted to the throttle. You cannot put the red arrows in after you mount the plate to the arm. So not a big deal, but once you figure it out like I did, you basically have to preset your throttle screws into their mounting locations, at least for the Virpil throttle. Other throttles, it might not be a big deal, but for Virpil, it was. So I had to pre-mount those screws and then attach the elbow. So here it is fully assembled. The stick went really well. The collective, however, that was a pure DIY solution that I came up with that I can talk about a little bit in detail. Everything went smooth for every other peripheral. You can see here that my dog is not impressed. But seriously, you can see here that the Virpil control panel is not mounted. I believe they have a solution for this, but it's not out yet, so I currently have my desk mounted. Not a big deal. You can see here that I pointed towards the collective as kind of blocking it. Obviously, you can take a nap if you want and get back into flying for all those super long flights. But yeah, everything's pretty comfortable. This is how you adjust the throttle, or at least for me, with the collective. So right now, I have the throttle all the way out so I can use the collective, but I'd like to bring the throttle in so I can use that and not be reaching super far out. So this is a real-time kind of blind adjustment. I'm not really looking at what I'm doing. I'm just trying to feel because, you know, kind of realistic. I'm not gonna get out of my chair all the time just to go down there and look. So you can see it just slides over. This has slightly changed for me because I've kind of flipped that plate, but I'm still messing around with it to see how it goes. You probably have 1001 Allen keys, hex keys, but you want to keep this size handy until maybe they come out with a solution for a quick release, which SimFab, if you're listening, that would be awesome for people who like to fly rotorcraft and fixed wing. All right, here we go. You can kind of see it's right there. I can't really lift my collective, obviously, and this is where it would have been, and you can see that's pretty far of a reach. All right, so we're gonna move on to moving the entire rig. Not a hard thing to do, I would say, but it is a little heavy with the amount of peripherals I have. It gets a little lopsided on the left side, so just be aware if you have a lot of stuff on one side, it's gonna tilt. I do not have a USB hub onto this rig yet. It's on my desk, and so that can, you know, be an issue. As you can see here, I basically have to unplug everything before I pull it out. this could easily be solved. Obviously, right there, I'm saying if that was mounted to the rig, I wouldn't have to unplug that or move it or anything. The Virpil control panel. Unplug the butt kicker. And here I'm just figuring this out. So this was actually the very first time I've moved it out. I built it and put it into my desk. So you can see here, there it goes. It was tilting towards the left. So you gotta watch me struggle with this. So not that it's heavy, but more so, where does it go? But you can see I found a decent spot while also almost knocking over my Legos, which would have been great. But yeah, this is demonstration, and I just literally tried it for the first time. Obviously, my dog's not a fan of any of this. He likes it where it just stays in place, so he can hang out and watch me shoot down other airplanes. But you can see right here, look at me, tip type, back to computering and whatnot. Oh, look at that, Chuck's Guide. All right, so now if you were like, okay, I'm done doing computer stuff, and you want to move back into flight mode, you just slowly but surely get there, and your dog is just like, why? Okay, so again, I haven't actually truly moved this with everything on it back into my desk, so this was all one take. I didn't try this multiple times. I just basically figured it out in a pretty small little basement, so you could probably do this if you had a little bit bigger room. But yeah, you can see here, just drag it. It's got the wheels in the back. You move it. And this part, moving it forward, you have to lift it a little bit, so eat your spinach, kids. And then you connect all your wires and you're back to flying. This next part, I think, is one of the most important aspects of this rig, and that is the length or shortness. What do you like to think about? I don't know. I think it is the bottom of the rig to where you can mount your stick. So on this, the lowest it can go is about 5 3/4 inches. Which is plenty for a 200mm extension and the modern combat grip for VKB. The last thing I want to mention is the collective mount that I used. This was a mixture of Virpil's universal chair mount and some Ingenuity. SimFab is supposed to be releasing an actual collective mount, so you might want to wait for that, or you can go down this route. Shoot me a message if you want to know how I did it. It's a little complicated. So yeah, that's going to wrap up my initial impressions of this sim pit. I'm sure I missed something. Like I said, this is my first review, so just leave something in the comments if you got questions or anything like that, and I'll get back to you. All in all, I would recommend this. I think this is a phenomenal system for the price. It's actually kind of mind-blowing how affordable this is for all the things you get. I haven't really seen much out there with a center cutout and the ability to have a 200mm stick extension. Obviously, you can add a collective. Right now, kind of gotta, engineer some stuff, but they're clearly planning on releasing an add-on for collective. For the price point at the time was $399. I think that's really phenomenal with what you get. It's very heavy duty. I also had really good customer service with this company. I accidentally ordered an extra center mount because I couldn't really tell if this came with one for a 200mm extension, and they actually refunded me before I even asked, and then I contacted them and they said, oh yeah, it already comes with this. We assumed you didn't want an extra one, which was pretty cool. As I was saying earlier, kind of the biggest factor for me was the ergonomics, and this has that. As you can see here, I'm resting my right forearm on my thigh for my stick. I have the collective actually is maybe a little too far forward, but this is a DIY route. Either way, I'm really not experiencing any shoulder or neck pain like I was previously with my desk mounts. And you can move in and out of this chair really easily. It's just like a car, it can move back, move forward. So I would say if you're tall, short, long arms, short legs, short arms, long legs, you could customize it all. So yeah, I'd say my only really big complaint was the directions for the throttle. That was kind of a hard part for me to not really figure out, but just more going back and redoing things. Not a big deal. Obviously, there are multiple throttles set up for this, so I'm sure that SimFab wasn't, going to specifically mention how to do it for each throttle. They obviously show each throttle and the mounting locations, but they kind of just leave it at that. Again, not a big deal. If you put it together and it's not working, kind of sit there, look at it, and realize, oh, I got to do this first instead of this. So, like I said, not a deal breaker in any means, but more so kind of annoying. Well, that's going to wrap up the review for me. Like I said, if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. Also, shout out to my wife for getting all those super cool artsy shots at the beginning. I don't think I would know how to do that. I just know how to land on small boats like this. I'm going to get out and have a pint of beer. Catch you guys later. Cheers.